Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Tirso and I'm an art director based in New York City. Today I want to talk to you about design school and whether you should go or not. In this video I'll cover the benefits of going to design school, discuss when school isn't an option and what you can do, and then also when school isn't even worth it. I've been working for over a decade and this has come up so often. I did study graphic design at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and I see the benefits of going to design school. A few years ago, I also considered going back to school for UX UI or interaction design. I ended up deciding not to because the cost and worth wasn't worth it. I think your answer to should you go or not will be dependent on your current situation. The first thing I want you to do is just ask yourself, why do you want to pursue graphic design? If you're looking to work in the industry, then school is a really great leg up. And when I say industry, I'm talking about corporate jobs in media, ad agencies, design firms, and then in-house branding. So what exactly do you get with a degree? You're not actually there for the degree itself, but you're there for the training. I think a great metaphor here is that design school teaches you how to cook and not follow a recipe. When it comes to training, design school is really structured, so you start with your foundations and principles, and then each year you progress so that by the time you graduate, you really know how to solve real-world design problems. In that progression, there's a lot of time to explore, and it's not about, I don't want to say quantity versus quality, but it's really about being prolific so that you can work towards quality. One aspect of design school that I think is highly underrated is just the environment itself. Your professor is often a working graphic designer, and to be able to get feedback from them at a minimum twice a week is excellent training, especially for 4 years in length. You're also surrounded by other graphic designers, future graphic designers, some of them. So why even care about being surrounded by other graphic designers? And it's about collaboration, and it's also about feedback. Design isn't about being in a room, plugging away at a laptop, coming up with a great solution. It's about working with designers, collaborating with each other, getting feedback so that you can revise and get to a better solution. There is a competitive nature to design school, but I think it's a good thing. I was certainly intimidated when I went, but I also felt that I grew more as a designer because of it. Imagine yourself running on a running track. It's really difficult to run fast by yourself. However, when you're in a race, the other runners really push you. So think of design school as that you have 4 years of all these other designers pushing you to be better. The last thing I want to mention here is that when you graduate from design school, you will have access to an alumni base, and that is how a lot of people get hired. So what if school isn't an option? Let's just be real about this. The actual contention of going to design school is the price tag associated with it, so it has to be worth it. Yes, it's a time commitment, but you're going to need to spend the time learning anyway, so I feel like time shouldn't really be an issue. So how do you learn without going to design school? Here's the curriculum when I went to school. This is circa 2005, so it is a bit outdated. I would add on to here UX UI and interaction design. We have typography, image making, and color. These classes really allowed you to focus on each of these separately, which is, I mentioned exploration earlier, and this is where you get that experience. Studio classes also happen in tandem, and this is where you put type, image, and color into context. This is not a full curriculum, but outside of those core classes, you can take additional electives. I took web design, I took photo classes, I took a lot of art history. I think art history is a great resource to find inspiration. If you can't find an art history class online, go to a museum, same thing. Similar things. I want to talk about 2 areas that I think are the weakest with self-taught designers, and that is typography and concepting. Design is about communication, and typography is how we communicate. Design is also about ideas, and concepting is how we bring those ideas to life. You'll have to find some classes to learn these skills. Obviously, online classes are a huge thing. I'm also a huge fan of continuing education courses. Some of them will actually put you in a classroom setting, and you will get that benefit of being around other people. Collaboration and feedback from your peers, professor as a mentor, grow your network. You can also find books on graphic design. I'll link some in the description below. Graphic design history is also important because You learn how it has evolved over time, but oftentimes I also bring those concepts into my current work. These are the things that I would recommend you look into if design school isn't an option. We talked about being surrounded by graphic designers in the classroom setting. I did mention that continuing education is a great way to do that. You can also partner with other designers, but you really want to be getting feedback from people that know how to give feedback. We talked about collaboration and feedback from other designers earlier. I think continuing education is a great way to do that if it's available to you. Since you won't have a professor outside of school, it's great if you can find a mentor to work with. That's also beneficial. You won't have access to an alumni base. However, what is an alumni base except for a network? So if you're great at networking, then this isn't a factor. So, unpopular opinion, not all schools are worth it. Fight me. The schools that I'm referring to are schools that perhaps don't offer graphic design specifically. Some of the schools that I'm talking about are ones that don't offer a graphic design degree specifically. And even the ones that offer graphic design as a degree, it may not be a great program. It's something that you have to look into because it's your time and it's your money. Look at the curriculum to see if it aligns with what I mentioned earlier. It is 2021, so make sure that UX, UI, and interaction design are also offered. If you're not getting that foundation in graphic design, I would say that it is 100% not worth it. I've met people that have a design degree, but they've never taken a typography class. So for me, it's like you didn't go to design school at all. I know that there's graphic design boot camps out there. These are 100% a scam. I would urge you to not pursue any of these at all. They phrase their websites very well that you're going to get this education. However, I would urge all of you to not pursue these at all because they're a waste of money. That sounds really harsh, but I mentioned earlier that design school teaches you how to cook. I find a lot of these programs teach you how to follow a recipe, but when you're done with them, you have an idea of what typography is. You have an idea of what color theory is, but you don't actually leave with any technique to implement them into real-world projects. Let me put this in perspective. In a 3-month class, you have 1, at most 2, color classes. In a college course, you have a 16-week class that's taught twice a week. Those 2 lectures from your boot camp are probably taught on day 1. So now you've taken 1 out of 32 classes and have learned nothing. If we're talking about ROI, I just don't think what you're learning in those 9 months that's grazing at the fundamentals will allow you to bring on freelance work and give you the income of $13,000. Anyway, that's my diatribe on why you shouldn't do these design boot camps. When I'm talking about these boot camps, I'm specifically talking about graphic design boot camps. UX UI boot camps are different, especially if you have a design background. They are much easier for you to grasp onto the fundamentals because you don't need to learn them. I had to re-record the end of this video, so hopefully that explains a change in outfit. However, the lighting in this video was all over the place anyway, so here we are. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. Comment below if you have more questions and I'll answer them in a future video. As I build this channel, I hope to help bridge the gap between those that are self-taught and those with a design degree. Until next time.